Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yaumiddin. Amma ba'd. All praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma peace and blessing. And also salawat to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has for those who follows his guidance until the day of judgment. As you can see, we as Muslims, we have to obey to Allah, to our God, to our messengers, and also to our books that have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's one thing that we have to obey too. Who are they? Who we need to obey with? They are the governments or our leader. Because there's a dalil that said, "Wati Allah wa ati Rasul wa ulil amri minkum," and obey Allah, His Messenger, and the government among you. But instead of you can disobey this government. There is a condition that we have to rebel against the government who leads us among us. For those who prohibits our 5 times prayer, our salat, or our everything that makes our Muslim activity becomes harder to see, harder to do. Because of that, we have to rebel. And I have one story about the people who broke Islam and the father of secularism in Islam, especially the people who breaks Islam in the early 20th century back then. Who is he? Yeah, you must be very curious back then. Yes, he is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the first president of Turkish Republic. I will tell you who is this guy actually, with some other people who break Islam, like Hajjaj ibn Yusuf back then, the governor of Hijaz. Actually, we have some unique, maybe people will not very odd with this man, with this public figure who breaks Islam, who makes controversial things about Islam. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk is first president of the Republic of Turkey, and he is the one who collapses the part of the collapse of the Turkish Empire back then, the most magnificent and the most advanced Turkish Empire back then, which called the Uthmaniyah or Uthmaniyah Sultanate or Ottoman Empire, because this empire had led Islam into a very victorious era back then. But in some regions or political issues, this empire have to collapse forever. Because of back then there is the organization called the Young Turks, who started to spread a secularism in the land of Turkey and its colony back then. Yes, because these Young Turks started to make secularism in Islam, and some Islams try to break with the secularism, liberalism. And yes, this caused the Arabs trying to make their own independence from Ottoman Empire. And then in 1918, after the World War I, Ottoman Empire has been collapsed and became changed into Turkish Republic. But in the era of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, in the Atatürk era, Turkey had been an advance back then. After the Ottoman Empire he said that we have to left any kind of outdated things. So yes, because they follow the westernization in Turkey back then. That's because this Turkish Republic back then was very magnificent too, actually more magnificent at that time. And also they get Ataturk did some kind of construction things actually, revolutions, and I mean, yeah, they got some teachings for illiterate people back then, because in the Ottoman Empire era there are many illiterate peoples, and Mustafa Kemal Ataturk was there to finish that, to get away from that illiterations. And also they get some opening some schools, universities, and others to gain more better education for Turkish people, and also many advanced and many kind of things that they have in the Ataturk era. But this guy had some controversial things, especially for Muslim people back then. What are those controversial things in his era? Well, you know, the most famous mosque in Turkey, or masjid in Turkey, Hagia Sophia, first from the Byzantine Empire, was used as a church, and then start of the conquest of the siege of Constantinople by Muhammad al-Fatih. This Hagia Sophia became a mosque or a masjid until the Ottoman Empire era. But after the collapse and his era now, the Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, this masjid becomes a museum, and of course it is something which is sad, isn't it? A mosque that we have to worship Allah, and then it was changed into a museum. And then second, his controversial things are prohibiting azan with Arabic language, instead using azan, using Turkish language and is as an azan. And for people who tries to call prayer with Arabic language, he will be arrested by police or soldiers in Turkey. Yeah, and that's a very controversial thing actually. And then Mustafa Kemal Ataturk did close any Islamic schools and Islamic universities. They banned those schools and universities. And also he prohibits Muslimas or Muslim women to use hijab. He prohibits, or maybe someone tries to use hijab for women's, they will be arrested too. And some kind of other controversial things actually back then. Even maybe Muslims doesn't like him because of his controversial rules in Turkey back then. But Alhamdulillah, now maybe I could say, and the secularism of Ataturkism or Kemalism ideology that he made has been long-lasting for many years actually, until the Turkish president now his name is Recep Tayyip Erdogan, tried to reformate a little bit about his secularism actually, becoming that, returning Hagia Sophia as a museum into a mosque back. But actually, way before Erdogan, there's a people who tried. Actually, he's the national hero of the Muslims, or actually he's a controversial for secularists or liberalists. He is Adnan Menderes too. He lived in 1950s back then, after the death of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. He tries to reformate Turkish into a Muslim country back, but his opposition doesn't agree with his statement until he was hanged with his neck with a rope, I guess, and he died, and became a hero today. So I think that's all for today's story about the people who broke Islam in the early 20th century, the father of secularism. Okay, I think that's all for me. I'm sorry if there's mistakes, you can correct me in comments below. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.